this lesson, I'm going to talk a little bit more about consonant intervals, which are thirds and sixths. So we've already talked about how you can notate an interval. And I'm going to notate a third right here, up from C, just like this. But now what I want to do is I want to add a little bit more information about this third. And so the way I'm going to do that is to count the half steps that are within that third. So I'm going to go to the keyboard, and I'm going to look at this third that I've created. Okay, it was a C and an E. But now what I need to do is count. There's 1 half step, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so there were 4 half steps in that third. But let's look at a different third and see how many half steps we get. Like this one. Okay, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, so it's another third. But this one we're going to count 1 half step, 2, 3. So this one only has 3 half steps. Okay, here's 4, and here's 3. And it turns out that when you have 4 half steps, you want to say that your third is major. So I'm just going to play a few major thirds. Those are all 4 half steps, all major thirds. And then minor thirds. So they just sound a little bit different, but they're all still in the basic same category of consonant intervals and thirds. So we're going to look back up on the board now. So I'm going to add this information. I'm making a capital M, and that's how I write major. So in general, I'm going to use this abbreviation. And when I write minor, it gets kind of confusing with all the M's, so I just write lowercase, and I put this line above it like that, and that's my abbreviation for minor. And that's what I'll do throughout. Okay, so then the question is, what do you do if you want to notate one of these 2 different types of thirds? So let's try that. Again, it really helps to have a picture of the piano keyboard just in your mind. So we're going to try doing, this is my minor third, and I'm going to put up. I want to write a minor third above that. So now I've got 2 pieces of information to deal with. I have the number, and then I have this quality right here. So I just start with the number. That's easier. So I'm just going to count 3, and I know it's up. So 1, 2, 3. So I know it has to be some kind of a B. Okay? I don't know what the accidental is yet, though. So then what I want to do is either imagine the keyboard in my mind, or I could just play it, which I'll do now. I'm going to play 3 half steps up from that G on the piano. So there's my G, and this would just be a plain old B. Now I don't know, though, if that's actually a minor third, so I better check. 1 half step, 2 half steps, so 3 half steps is actually right there. Okay? So when I go back to the board, what I need to do is make sure I put a flat in front of this. Okay, so now the question would be, we know a little bit about enharmonic equivalence. B flat is actually the same as A sharp. So what would happen? Would this be a third also if I did this? Okay, this is going to sound exactly the same as what you just heard. Okay, the problem with this is if I'm actually trying to write a minor third, G, A, this is actually going to be some kind of a second. So it's actually not going to be what I want right here. So you do have to be kind of careful not to just change your letter names all around. And we'll just do one more of those. So let's say now that we'll do bass clef. You want to do, let's try a major third. I'm going to start here with a B flat, and I want to do a major third down. Okay, so first thing I do, start with the number. I know I have to count down 3, so 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be some kind of a G. And then I have to think about my half steps. So I'll go over to the piano and find where those are. So here's my B flat right here. And I go down 1 half step, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I want a major third, I'm going to have to flat that G to get that major third. Okay, so you can think about both pieces of those information when you write your intervals. So Now we've talked about thirds, but consonant intervals also include sixths. So I'm going to show you a quicker way than counting intervals to get to your sixths. So we're going to start with this third, okay, B up to D. And what I'm going to do to invert it is I'm going to take one of those two pitches and I'm going to wrap it around the other one and change the octave. Okay, so here's how that looks. I'm going to take this one here, this D, and I'm going to move it down here to the octave below, and it needs to cross over where the other note is. Okay? So now I'm going to take this away. Okay, so what I did was I just inverted my third, and it turned into something else. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that same one that I had originally, the same third, and I'm just going to invert it the other direction, because now I'm going to keep this the same, and I'm going to move this one around. Okay, so I'm going to go like that, bring it up the octave, okay, and then I'll get rid of this one, and I have just inverted that third again. Okay, so it was B to D before, and it's really still those same notes, B and D, B and D. They're just in different places. So that's inversion. And so let's see why that's even important. If we do this, we're going to get, in both cases, sixths. So you can get a sixth from a third just by inverting it. Before, we happen to have a minor third, B up to D. So let's see what we end up getting with this sixth. Let's see. This one, we know it's a sixth. Okay, so we had a minor third. I'm going to show you what happens on the keyboard here. Here was our original third. And here's my inversion. I'm taking that D up here, and I'm moving it down there. And I know it's a sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, I have a really easy way of figuring out whether it's a major or a minor sixth. And what I do is I go back to my third, and I was pretty sure this was a minor third, but I want to make sure. 1, 2, 3 half steps. Well, the sixth is a major sixth. And we know that without even needing to count, because if you have a minor interval, it inverts to a major one, and vice versa. So rather than counting all these half steps, you can just look at the smaller interval, invert it, and get the bigger one, and you'll know what it is. Okay, so if we have major, it's going to become minor. And then there was something else that we can summarize up here too. Okay, and this, of course, is also the opposite way. But if we go down here and look at that number, let's see, we had a third, and it turned into a sixth. Okay, so what that means is that the numbers add to 9. Okay? So major becomes minor, and minor becomes major when you invert an interval, and the numbers add up to 9. There's still one more piece of information, and that is the half steps. Maybe the half steps add up to something too. And in fact, they do. This is the last thing you need to know about this. Half steps become 12 when you add them. Okay, so if you have 4 half steps in your major third, and then you invert it, well, 12 minus 4 is 8. So that other interval is going to have 8 half steps. If you have an interval with 6 half steps, it's going to invert and become an interval that also has 6 half steps. The half steps always add up to 12, the numbers add up to 9, and then these two are going to flip. Going back to this major third, so what happens if we have that same C to E, those same 2 letter names, and we add a little bit of expansion in there? So we could do that, for example, by sharpening the E. So when we do this, we now actually have more than 4 intervals. We know 4 4 half steps rather. We know that C to E, plain old E, is going to be 4 half steps. If we add the sharp, we're going to get 5 half steps. So this is how this is going to look. We've got minor, we've got major. If we keep getting bigger, augmented. Okay, and you can abbreviate that with a little plus. So we'll just look at the other direction now. What happens if it shrinks? So here we have a minor third. What if we compress it even more? And I'll compress it. I'm just going to choose to do this by sharpening the C. Okay. I've just shrunk it down. So now, if this is 3 half steps, what I have here is actually only 2 half steps. And that's diminished. And there's a little circle. And that's your abbreviation for that. And so, since you already know a little bit about inversion, one more piece to add to that, now that we have diminished and augmented here, if you invert a diminished interval, you're going to get an augmented interval. And we'll look at that on the piano. So here we are. Here's my C to E. And we talked about augmenting that by raising the E so it looks just like an F on the piano. So here I have an augmented third. If I take this and wrap it around, now I have a diminished sixth. And I'll show you the same thing. Now we're going to go minor third. I'm going to make it smaller. Now we actually have a diminished third, wrap around, augmented sixth. And that's your introduction to consonant intervals.